Hey everyone, ready for a deep dive today? We've got some fascinating articles all about Sundar Pichai,
Oh, yeah, the CEO of Alphabet and Google, right?
the one and only, and his Wikipedia page.
Wow.
It's a lot, isn't it?
Yeah, talk about a life story. So much to unpack here.
Really is, huh?
Well, let's start at the beginning, shall we?
That's good.
Pichai was born Pichai Sundarajan, Juneteenth, 1972, in Madurai.
Madurai.
Yep, Tamil Nadu, India.
Wow, from there to leading, Silicon Valley.
I know, right? What a journey.
Quite a journey. And what's interesting is that he didn't come from like a super privileged background or anything.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about that.
Well, his mom was a stenographer and his dad an electrical engineer.
Humble beginnings.
Yeah, but even early on, there were these hints that he was, something special.
Is that right?
Yeah, like that story about him remembering phone numbers as a kid. Have you heard that one?
Oh, yeah, I read about that.
I mean, come on. That's got to be a sign, right?
Right, like a glimpse into that analytical mind or something.
Exactly the kind of detail-oriented thinking that you need in engineering and tech.
Makes sense. So let's talk about his education then.
Well, he got his degree in metallurgical engineering from IIT Kharagpur.
IIT Kharagpur
Yeah.
in India.
Oh, wow. So he's like one of their distinguished alumni.
Oh, yeah, for sure. One of the top engineering schools over there.
Impressive. And I'm guessing he didn't stop there.
Nope. He went on to get a master's from Stanford
Stanford. Wow. Okay.
and then an MBA from Wharton.
Okay. Seriously impressive.
And get this, he was a Siebel Scholar and a Palmer Scholar.
Hold on. Those
Pretty
are
big.
like,
Yeah, pretty big deals, right?
yeah, that's not just like good grades. That's like,
Top of the top.
yeah, exactly.
Shows you he really had that drive, to learn and to excel.
But what I find fascinating is that he didn't just like land at Google straight out of school.
Oh, no, not at all.
He had a whole career before
A
that.
whole career before Google, yeah.
Okay, so tell me about that.
Well, first he worked at Applied Materials in engineering and product management. Okay, so some serious hands-on experience right there.
Absolutely. And then he went to McKinsey and Company.
McKinsey.
Yeah, one of the top management consulting firms in the world.
Wow. So he was honing his strategic thinking skills there.
Oh, yeah, big time. So by the time he gets to Google in 2004,
2004. Okay.
he's bringing this incredible wealth of diverse experience with him.
That's a really good point. He wasn't just some techie who got lucky.
No, he built a foundation across all these different fields, like deliberately.
Very deliberately.
Yeah, and I think that breadth of experience is what allowed him to make such a big impact at Google.
Right. He wasn't just managing products, he was shaping them.
Totally.
Okay, so let's talk about his time at Google then.
Right.
He started in product management, of course.
Of course.
But he quickly became a key player in developing some of the products that we literally use every day.
Every single day, think about it. Google, Chrome OS,
Chrome OS.
that 2009 demo he gave of Chrome OS, have you seen that?
I think so.
It's like a window into the future of cloud computing.
It was way ahead of its time.
Way ahead. And then Google Drive,
Oh, yeah, Google Drive.
he was pushing cloud storage before most people even knew what that was.
It's like he had this knack for anticipating what people would need before they even knew they needed it.
Totally. And he also played a role in shaping Gmail and Google Maps.
I mean, come on, those are like essential parts of our lives now.
I know, it's hard to imagine life without them.
And we can't forget about his technical contributions, like the VP8 video codec and the WebM format.
Oh, yeah. Those were huge for online video.
Explain that to me.
Sure. So VP8 was all about improving video quality and compression,
Okay, that makes sense.
which was super important because online video was just, taking off.
Right, right.
And then WebM was about creating this open royalty-free format for video on the web.
So basically making it more accessible for everyone.
Exactly.
So he's driving innovation on like both sides, right?
Yeah.
The user-facing stuff and the underlying technology.
Yep. That's Sundar Pichai for you.
Pretty remarkable.
And then in 2013, he takes on Android.
Android. Wow, okay.
Yeah, Google's mobile operating system.
That's a huge responsibility.
Right. Like they were really putting their trust in him.
It's almost like foreshadowing, right?
Yeah.
Him eventually becoming CEO.
You could say that it's a sign that Google recognized his leadership potential and his ability to handle these massive, complex projects.
Which brings us to the next chapter of his story, I guess.
The CEO chapter.
Exactly.
So first he becomes CEO of Google in 2015,
2015, okay.
and then in 2019, CEO of Alphabet, Inc.
Which is Google's parent company, right?
That's right.
So like a steady climb to the top.
Yeah, reflecting his growing influence within Google and their confidence in his abilities.
But you know what I found really interesting?
What's that?
He was actually considered for the CEO position at Microsoft back in 2014.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, can you imagine?
That would have been a whole different ballgame.
Right. Like, what would Microsoft look like today? What would Google look like?
It makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah, but it also shows how highly regarded he was. Oh,
Yeah, not just within Google, but throughout the entire tech industry.
clearly a brilliant mind, a master of product development strategy, the whole 9 yards.
Absolutely.
But of course, no leader's journey is without its challenges, right?
Oh, of course. Not even at the top. There are obstacles to overcome, tough decisions to make.
And I'm guessing Sundar Pichai's time as CEO has been no exception.
You guessed right.
All right, well, let's dive into some of those challenges then.
Let's do it. I'm curious to see how he navigated those choppy waters.
Yeah, so we've been talking about Pichai's journey to the top, but, being CEO of a company like Google.
That's a whole other level.
Right, it's not just about the tech anymore. It's about, societal issues, global impact, all that.
It is. You're dealing with things that affect millions of people. You're constantly under scrutiny.
Like that whole thing back in 2017, remember? With that internal memo?
Yeah, the one criticizing Google's diversity initiatives.
That had to be a tough one to handle.
Well, it was a very public test of his leadership, for sure.
Yeah.
And here you have this employee circulating this 10-page document.
Not just some rant, right?
No, this was like a well-argued piece, citing research and everything.
Challenging the company's whole approach.
Exactly. And that memo sparked a huge debate.
Oh, yeah, both inside Google and out in the world.
It really brought up those fundamental questions about free speech in the workplace,
Right, and how do you create an inclusive environment while also allowing for dissenting opinions?
Exactly. And Pichai was right in the middle of it all.
Caught between these competing values.
Does he prioritize an employee's right to speak their mind, even if it's controversial?
Or does he side with protecting the company's commitment to diversity and inclusion?
Right, which is a core part of their culture.
No easy answers there.
And ultimately, he decided to fire the employee.
Which, of course, sparked even more debate.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It really put a spotlight on the complexity of these issues.
And how a CEO's actions have these ripple effects.
Huge ripple effects.
Yeah.
It sent a message about what Google stands for, what they're willing to tolerate.
Their priorities.
Exactly. It's a reminder that these CEOs, especially in tech, they have this huge responsibility.
It goes way beyond just the bottom line.
Oh, absolutely. Their decisions shape culture, they influence norms, they set
Right.
precedents for the whole industry.
And with that responsibility comes intense scrutiny.
Oh, yeah, tons of scrutiny.
Which brings us to Pichai's 2018 testimony before Congress.
Oh, boy.
That was a hot seat moment for sure.
He was grilled on everything.
It seemed like it.
Political bias in search algorithms, data privacy, that whole thing about the censored search app for China.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
So many ethical questions swirling around.
He was facing lawmakers with all sorts of agendas.
Each one with their own axe to grind.
It was a high-pressure situation, for sure. He had to defend the company, but also, acknowledge the need for transparency and accountability.
It was a balancing act.
He couldn't just, cave to every demand.
No, he had to stay true to Google's mission and values.
That whole episode really highlighted how much Google is under a microscope.
Oh, yeah. Constantly under scrutiny.
And Pichai, as their CEO,
He's right there in the spotlight.
every move analyzed, debated, dissected.
The price of success, I guess.
When you're that powerful, the stakes are always high.
Always high. But, Pichai, he doesn't seem to shy away from these tough conversations.
No, he seems to engage with the criticism head on.
He's trying to address the concerns, be transparent,
He's learning and adapting as he goes.
figuring out how to lead a company that's under constant public pressure,
It's a process.
a very public process.
And it's not just about the technology, it's about the impact it has on people's lives.
Absolutely.
It seems like he genuinely wants to make a positive difference in the world.
You can see that in his actions.
Like making information more accessible, connecting people, developing tools that empower individuals.
It's refreshing to see that kind of optimism in the tech world.
I agree. So much of it is about disruption for disruption's sake.
He's not just about breaking things, he's about using technology to solve real problems.
To improve people's lives.
Exactly. And it feels like he's the right person to lead that charge.
He's got the brains, the vision, the empathy.
All of it. And he seems to understand the complexities of this digital age that we're living in.
It's exciting to think about what he'll accomplish in the future.
Who knows what he's working on right now?
Right. Like what groundbreaking innovations or world-changing initiatives.
He's like a chess grandmaster.
Thinking several moves ahead.
Always planning for the future, and the stakes are incredibly high.
They are the future of the internet, the future of information, our relationship with technology.
It's all connected, and he's right at the center of it.
It's a fascinating position to be in.
And it seems like he embraces the challenge.
He's not just a CEO, he's a pioneer, and explore.
charting a course through uncharted territory.
And we're all along for the ride, whether we realize it or not.
Our lives are being shaped by his decisions, the direction he takes Google in,
It makes you realize how much one person's leadership can impact the world.
especially in tech.
Pichai's story is a perfect example of that.
It's a testament to hard work intelligence and that belief in the power of technology to make a difference.
He's a role model for anyone who wants to make their mark on the world.
And his story also highlights the global nature of innovation. You
Right?
know.
Talent can come from anywhere and have a global impact.
Exactly. It's a hopeful message.
It really is a reminder that the future is full of potential.
And it's up to each of us to seize the opportunities that come our way.
Now, before we wrap up this discussion about Pichai's leadership,
Yeah?
there's one more thing we need to talk about.
What's that?
AI.
Yes.
AI, it's becoming more and more integrated into our lives, and Google, with all its resources and expertise,
They're at the forefront of this AI revolution.
which means that Pichai's role in shaping how AI develops and how it's
It's
used,
more important than ever.
his decisions are going to have a huge impact on our future.
No doubt about it.
So let's dive into some of the ethical challenges that he's facing in this area.
Okay, let's do it. There are so many potential benefits, but also some serious risks that we need to consider very carefully.
So where do you see the biggest ethical concerns with AI?
Well, I think one of the most pressing issues is bias in algorithms.
Yes.
Yeah, these algorithms, they learn from the data they're fed.
Right.
And if that data reflects, existing societal biases, then the AI can actually perpetuate and even amplify those biases.
That makes sense.
So for example, let's say an AI system is being used for hiring decisions,
Okay.
and it's trained on data that shows a preference for male candidates in certain fields.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then it might unfairly disadvantage female applicants.
Right. Right.
And that kind of bias can creep into all sorts of AI applications,
Huh.
from loan approvals to criminal justice risk assessments, you name it.
So it's not just a hypothetical problem?
No, it's a real concern. And to their credit, Pichai and Google have acknowledged this.
Oh, good.
They've emphasized the need for fairness and transparency in AI development.
So how are they addressing that? Are there ways to actually mitigate bias in these systems?
Yeah, there are definitely steps being taken.
Okay.
For one thing, Google has published these AI principles,
AI principles?
that focus on things like fairness and inclusivity.
Okay. That sounds like a good start.
And they've also established an AI ethics council to provide guidance on responsible AI development.
So they're taking it seriously, at least.
It seems like it, but bias isn't the only ethical concern with AI, is it?
No, I was just thinking about that. There's also the potential for job displacement. Right?
Oh, yeah, that's a big one. As AI gets more sophisticated, it's going to be able to automate more and more tasks.
Jobs that humans currently do.
Exactly, especially in fields like manufacturing, transportation, customer service.
It's kind of scary to think about what that means for the future of work.
It is. It raises a lot of questions.
Yeah.
You know?
Like what happens to the people whose jobs are automated?
Right. And how do we make sure that everyone benefits from AI, not just a select few?
These are big questions.
Huge questions. And Pichai and other tech leaders are grappling with them.
Are there any solutions on the table?
Well, there's no easy solution, but there's a lot of discussion around things like universal basic income
Oh, I heard of that.
and retraining programs to help people adapt to this changing job market.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be a long and complex process.
Oh, absolutely. Navigating the economic and social impacts of AI, it's going to be an ongoing challenge.
And then there's the whole issue of privacy,
Ah, yes, privacy.
which is already, a big concern with Google given how much data they collect.
It is.
Yeah.
And as AI becomes more deeply integrated into our lives, that data collection is only going to increase.
So it's kind of a double-edged sword, right?
It is. AI needs data to learn and improve.
Right.
But we also need to make sure that our privacy is protected.
Pichai has said that Google is committed to user privacy,
He has.
but it's a tough balance to strike.
It is. They want to use data to make their products better, but they also have to be mindful of user concerns.
And make sure that data isn't being misused?
Absolutely. It's a delicate balance.
Yeah.
And it's only going to get more complex as AI becomes more powerful. More everything. We're at this crossroads with AI, where we have the potential for incredible advancements, but also the potential for some serious unintended consequences.
It feels like we're entering a whole new era.
We're an era full of promise, but also uncertainty.
And Pichai, as the CEO of Google, He's got this huge responsibility.
He does, to ensure that this technology is developed and used ethically.
It's not just a technical challenge, it's a societal one.
Exactly.
We need to be having these open and honest conversations about how we want AI to shape our world.
Absolutely. What values we want it to reflect, what safeguards need to be put in place.
We can't just leave it up to the tech companies.
No, we all need to be informed and engaged in this conversation.
This deep dive has been so insightful. I feel like I've learned so much about Sundar Pichai.
Me too. His leadership, the challenges he's facing. It's fascinating.
It's also a little daunting, to realize just how much power these tech companies have.
I know what you mean.
But it's also empowering in a way.
How so?
Well, because it means that we as consumers, as citizens, we have a voice.
We do. We can hold these companies accountable, demand transparency, advocate for policies that ensure AI is used for good.
It's clear that we're just at the beginning of this AI revolution.
Oh, yeah, this is just the start.
It's going to be exciting and challenging and a little bit scary.
For sure. But ultimately, it's up to all of us to make sure that AI benefits humanity as a whole.
Well said. Well said. I think that's a great place to wrap up this deep dive into the world of Sundar Pichai.
Yeah, thanks for joining me on this exploration. It's been a pleasure.
It has. And to our listeners, we hope this has sparked your curiosity and given you some things to think about.
Keep exploring.
Keep exploring, and we'll see you on the next deep dive.